What's up, good people, and welcome to another Morning Money Motivation. I hope you are doing extremely well, and if not, I hope that we can change that in the coming moments. The title of this episode is Own This. Own This. And what we want to talk about here is ownership and how we can use our understanding of ownership to really better our situations, our financial situations, our health situations, and our freedom. So own this. What do we own? What is your ownership? What is your understanding of ownership is the question we want to ask today. And I think a lot of times our understanding of ownership really revolves around how we grow up and what we, covet and what we value, what we think, our value systems revolve around. That may be, for some people, that may be owning a home, some people that may be owning a car or clothes or, other items that really give us value that way. What I want to talk about today more in detail is the ownership of your peace of mind, the ownership of just your well-being and the ownership of your health and things like that, things of that nature, because we don't really think about those things in terms of ownership enough, I think. And I think, if we start there, sometimes if we start with owning our health and owning the things that really, give us life, so to speak, then that will allow us to, make those better choices in terms of financial situations and in terms of, our health. And really those things are the building blocks for everything else. So let's just think about that, the ownership of our health. How do we own our health? How do we own our peace of mind? And it really starts with understanding that those are things that we need to own. We need to own those things in terms of how we better ourselves in those areas. How do we grow in those areas? And how do we combat the ills of the world in those areas? How do we combat things when we're sick? How do we prepare ourselves for being in a situation that, is not right for us? How do we prepare ourselves for the hard times and things that are coming in the world that we live in? Because things are always out there that can be harmful for us. And if we are not mentally prepared for those things, they can really take us off our path really quickly. So how do we prepare for those things? And it's really about just taking ownership. You have to be able to take ownership of, that's my thing to do, not I'm going to give that power to someone else to take care of that for me, but I'm going to resolve those issues, whether they be an issue of, my spending habits or the things that I believe in terms of my health. If I take ownership of those things, if I own it, then I can effectively make change in those areas. So it's as simple as saying, hey, that's my thing to own. I own that, versus, I want to own a home, or I want to own, a car, or own, these clothes, or own this necklace, or own, these shoes. Those are all superficial things that we attach to ourselves after the fact. And, yes, those things can be beneficial, definitely the latter, owning a home or, having a stable place to, lay your head and rest and build your family and all those things. Those things can be great assets to us. But at the core of who we are, we have to first own the things that allow us to build all of those other things. And those things are really internal, and those things can be really personal. Quick story. I remember as a child being really frustrated with things that didn't go my way, things that didn't quite go the way that I had planned them to go. And, and that was in anything, working on something creative, working on just learning something new, or just in anything, any facet of my life. I can remember that. And it wasn't until I really learned how to take ownership of my feelings and take ownership of how I was acting upon my feelings that began to change in my life. And I think that's so important that we understand that we have to take ownership of the things that we are doing and the things that we are affecting in our lives, it's really easy to give that power away. And I know we do that oftentimes. We'll give that power away to someone else because it keeps us from having to come to grips or come to terms with things that we are doing. But it really hurts us in the long run because it keeps us in that state of having to depend on the insight of others in terms of what's going on with us. And you want to be able to have that insight about yourself because that's a very powerful thing. Once you understand who you are and what you're capable of doing through having that ownership of your actions and ownership of the things that you're thinking and putting into motion, once you have that power in your own life and have that power in yourself, it really catapults you forward in life. If you're listening to this, I want you to know right now that it's okay if you have not done this in your life. This is something that, a lot of people don't learn until later. And sometimes people don't ever learn this because it's something that's not readily taught in our society. So I want you to understand that you are not at fault if you don't understand this or you haven't understood this about yourself until this point. And going forward, this is something that you can learn and improve and action in your life. This is something that you can action in your life. And I want to encourage you to do so. Really take ownership of all of the things in your life, specifically your health, your financial situation, all those things that affect you and affect those around you on a day in and day out basis. Please take control of those things. Take ownership of those things and don't give your power away in those things because it really will benefit you in the long run. I want to take a moment now to do an affirmation exercise to kind of catapult our day in this area. So if you will, repeat these affirmations and use them throughout your day. I own my health. I own my well-being. I take ownership of my happiness and my freedom. I take ownership of my day. So if you can, just use these throughout the day. You can come back to these and use these. Allow these to be your affirmations of the day so that you can take ownership of the things that matter and really take ownership of your life. Because that's really what it comes down to. If you are able to take ownership of your life, you can shape your life into whatever you want to shape it into. I hope this has been extremely helpful to someone. And until we talk again, I wish you health, wealth, and freedom.